Okay, the way that he does this is by bringing the elbow on the inside, okay, and dropping the shoulder and keeping the head tight. So now I can't get that knee in. So rather than having my legs dangling around like this, look here, I'll lock it off. I'm going to clamp. I'm going to keep my foot ready. So if he does start lifting up that knee, look here, so if he lift up the knee, look here, I can use my foot, look here, to hook behind that knee so I can extend and bring that back to the ground again. And from here we can start tilt sweeping and start getting reactions from him. Okay, so that's why I'm here. If he does posture up from here, yeah, of course, I'm going to get that knee back in front again. And try and create a frame in front of the shoulders. Okay, but this is where I want us to start from. So hand on the hip, knee connected, elbow connected to the hip, shoulder connected to the hand. Okay, here. If he postures up but keeps the elbow in, so posture up and keep the elbow in, look here. So that's it, look here. Now I can come over the top. Yeah, and I can use that to create the space. So this is why you want to keep the elbow close, but the shoulder close as well at the same time. Okay, now from here, you don't want to keep that knee too far away. Okay, you want to get that knee closer to the armpit here. Look here. Now from here, you can start controlling my head. Okay, if you start controlling the head before you get that knee forward, just posture back. So let's just say, for example, he's here and he wants to go for my shoulder. Look here, my knee comes in front, and now look here, I'm shoulder crunching. Okay, so in order for me to be able to work what I want to focus on today, we need to make sure that the person top has got all their bases covered. Elbow close to the hip, shoulder close to the hand. Knee comes close first. You can control the elbow from here. No, underneath. Okay, lift it up, that's it. You can control the elbow from here, but what he doesn't want to do is go for my head. Here, knee comes through and I'm attacking again. Okay, so he wants to keep that elbow, that's it, that knee close to my hip. So he's creating a bit of an angle. Now we can start getting to the crossface and the underhook. Okay, and he wants to use the underhook, look here, to try and flatten my back off. Here. And then you can start lifting that knee up. Okay, my hook on the outside is only active if I'm able to keep my hips on the outside. Okay, so we go back again. If my hips are on the outside and I can turn my shoulder, and if he lifts up that knee from here, look here, I can hook and I can extend. Okay? If he starts bringing that knee close and he cross faces me and he gets the underhook and he flattens my shoulder off, now this doesn't happen anymore. I've got nothing from here.
Why is that, sorry?
Because you've got my back flat, so I can't hook behind that leg.
Let me do this.
Well, yeah, I mean, it kind of is as well, because you're creating an angle here, so now you can either stand and you drop your hips. That's it, look here, now it's much easier to open up that leg. Yeah? So we're starting from a position where I have the leg locked in with my half guard. He's got the hand on the hip, elbow to his hip, shoulder to his hand. Okay, that way I can't get my knee in front. If he messes up and he postures up from here, look here, knee in front, I've won. Okay, let's have 3 tries on bottom to save us from switching around too much. But if I get to here or here, I win this game. Okay, I've won my little mini battle. Okay, so everything in Jiu-Jitsu is kind of like a little mini game that you want to try and achieve. Okay, every time you move 1 step forward, okay, your opponent is essentially moving 1 step back. Okay, he needs to try and win that little game again. Okay, so all we're focusing on here right now for this side is that pummel. He's trying to bring that elbow in, I'm trying to bring that knee in. Okay, alternatively, the other option for the pummel from here is my underhook. He's trying to swim his arm inside, okay, to flatten my back off. Okay, I'm trying to either get my knee in front or get my arm underneath. Okay, over this side, okay, he's trying to win the crossface. But remember, you want to get that knee close before you go for the head. Okay, if you keep that knee back and you go for the head, look here, knee comes in front, I've created a block in front of his hips now. Okay, then I can start attacking. Okay, so, half guard. Okay, my win. 1, 2. Okay, he goes for the head. 3. Okay, his win. Okay. He wants to flatten my back off, so he wants to get the underhook, wants to get the crossface, okay, trying to flatten me off. Okay, you can either go to here, or if you come onto your knees again, okay, underhook, that's it, or you can just get to here. That's all he has to focus on now. So he wants to get to the head and arm position, flatten the back off, I want to try and build my guard back up again. I want to get my knee in front, I want to get the underhook, or I get the shoulder crunch on the far side. Okay guys? Can we give it a go? Yep. Go, 1, 2. Okay, so from the half guard position, so you're talking about from the person on bottom or the person on top?
On top.
Okay, so you're talking about this underhook, yeah?
Yeah.
So you've got any tips? Yes, I have. Yeah. So if you go on bottom, I'll give you an idea. So if we spin around, just for the sake of the camera. Okay, so a lot of it just depends on what you're doing from that position as well. So predominantly what you're going to want to do ideally is, especially if my knees and my elbows and everything are in the right position, is you're watching this arm, right? This is kind of like the next thing that I'm going to have to try and deal with, is that cross face. If you're framing quite far away from me here, this gives me a lot of opportunities, because as you're framing quite far away, this gives me a chance to step up that knee and start coming up. So you've got to be careful of that as well. So if you're leaning really far away and I can't fight for the underhook, that's what I'm going to try and do. I'm going to try and come up on that knee. Okay? Let's just say, for example, I'm a little bit closer here. Okay? I don't necessarily need to swim into the armpit. Okay? From this position, I can just as well get underneath that elbow and use, look here, my shoulders start opening up. And then I can start going for that head as well. So a lot of people misconceive what the idea of an underhook is. An underhook isn't literally just as simple as bringing my arm underneath his arm. The whole focus of the underhook is to try and bring his elbow away from his body. So even if he's framing in and his wrist is close to his arm and I can't swim into that gap there, as long as I can create a little bit of a wedge between his rib cage and his elbow and I can move his elbow away from his body, then I'm essentially doing the job of what I need to do if I was to underhook anyway. So that would be what I'd do. So if you're framing and you're shallow, and you're close by, then I'd aim to try and get my arm underneath, so I've at least got purchase, and then from here I'm going to use my shoulder look here to bring you forward, and as soon as the elbow comes away from the body, your frame becomes weak. I can start using this look here to get my hands together and get to my cross-face position. Does that make sense, yeah? Yeah. So if you're framing far away, okay, my aim would be to try and get that knee up, okay, and then I can start using, look here, the change of my body position, look here, to start getting closer to the underhook, okay, and if you're framing close by to me, then I'd aim to try and get my elbow, my forearm underneath your elbow, look here, and then rather than pushing this way where you're strong, yeah, I'd be pushing this way, okay, so I'm fighting against weaker muscles when I can start opening up in this direction as opposed to fighting against this, okay, because you're going to be able to use your shoulders and your bicep and your forearm and everything to push me away over this side, okay, so the aim is to lift from here. And then even if you extend from here, extend and push me away, look here, I can start using this to get closer to your body. Does that make sense?
Perfect.
Cool.
Thank you.
Any other questions, guys? Max?
No.
Having any issues?
You showed the
Lots of issues. Mainly the other way around with that. Like,
sure.
His weight was so opposition sort of, but I was just struggling to get the underhook from the bottom.
Yeah.
And bring my knee back in.
Okay, so can you give us an example of what you mean? Yeah. So where are you struggling exactly? So show me where you...
So I was just struggling. So I'm struggling to make space to get my arm under.
Yeah,
I was also struggling to get any space to bring my knee in. I just
Yeah.
felt really stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes if you try to do something, it might make some space,
Yes.
but that was the only opportunity I really felt I was getting.
Yeah. So look, the difference here is where his elbow is. So look where his elbow is. His elbow is kind of close to your hips.
Yeah.
So remember, the same thing applies to the person on top than it does to the person on bottom. Okay, so it becomes more prevalent when you're defending, but when you're trying to control someone, you want to keep the elbows close to your body. Okay. If you can start bringing the elbows away from your body, then their position becomes weaker. So Alfie, if I can borrow you for a sec. So because he's clamping that elbow in tight to your hip, it's making it very difficult for you to move away. So he's here. Okay, so he's pushing in on the hip. Okay, so from this position, I need to try and move my elbow away from his body. Okay, so rather than moving up, okay, I'll try and move out. Okay, and because he's focusing so much on that far hip, it makes it easy for me to get that knee in front as well. So you notice what he's doing, because he's dropping that elbow down, if I can create even a little bit of space here, look here, I can bring my knee across, look here, and then I can start opening up.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I was trying to come up
Upwards.
That way.
Yeah. And the thing is, because of how his body's positioned, it's going to be much easier for him to follow me up the mats.
Yeah.
Yeah? Whereas if I'm able to move out to the side here, okay, it's very difficult for him to be able to kind of almost like crab walk sideways for him to follow me. And if I can maintain those frames, this is why I want us to kind of like think about this a lot when we're re-guarding. It's that top hook, so we go over this in the fundamentals quite a lot as well. So if we're like we're being passed from side control, our first priority should always be this top leg. Yeah? Because if from here, okay, if I've already created the space here, if from here I get my knee in, because I haven't got control of him, he can now use his weight to switch his hips. So switch your hips, no, the other way. That's it, good here. And then from here, I'm kind of fighting against this now, and I've not been able to get that top leg in. Whereas if you go back a sec, if I can shrimp and create space and get that top knee in, even if he switches his hips, switch your hips, look here. I've always got that extra little bit of space I've created by opening out my knee here to allow my bottom leg to come in back into guard. So same thing applies here as well. So the focus from here is to move out to the side, look here, to get my knee in, look here, and then I can start getting that frame inside. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, great.
Cool. What were you saying, George?
The off balance from bottom. Half guard.
The off balance?
Yeah, like basically the off balance.
Tilt sweep.
Yeah.
What about it?
How do you do that?
How do you do it?
Yeah.
Careful, bro. Okay, so what he's talking about is this. So
I feel like sometimes people are heavy.
Yeah.
And you can't do it.
Yeah.
So
So the thing with the tilt sweep here, so what he's talking about is this. So if he's putting too much weight over towards his right side, okay, it makes it easy for me to try and off balance him. So a lot of the time what will happen is, especially if he hasn't got the underhook, is he's more likely to base out over towards that direction. So a lot of the time if I'm trying to sweep him over here, I'll try and block him off. Yeah? And then if I start moving him over this side now, then he's naturally going to off balance towards that direction. Okay, if I don't have control of the elbow and I tilt towards this side, he's going to post, in which case it allows me to get my underhook so I can start fighting into my kind of dogfight control here. So what the answer to your question is, if you control this, but also, even if I'm controlling this, right, so you're either going to have more weight towards one side or the other side. It's only natural that you're going to be distributing it in a way that there's always going to be a little bit more weight towards one side than it is the other.
I feel like if you start controlling this, I'm going to come this way.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so now his weight is over this side. It makes it easier to go to the back, especially if I've got control with the sleeve and the elbow. So it seems pretty obvious now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So from here, look here, I pull across and then I can get to the hip. Okay? Sometimes it's a little bit difficult to do off your back. Okay, so he's got his weight over this side, look here, but he's driving forward into me. So what I try and do from here is I'd go elbow control, I'd post, and I'd sit up first. And then from here, it's going to be much easier for me to drag and get to the hips as well. So in theory, you should be able to do it off your back, but a lot of the time when someone's got their weight on top of you as well, you'll go elbow control, you post, you get your hips away, and then from there you can switch to drag to the hips. Yeah? Cool. Should we have a little play around with this stuff, guys? So have a little practice with your partner, and then we'll reconvene and cover some other bits. Okay, let's go. 1, 2.
I'm going to give you a compliment.
This kind of guard, because the thing is, there's so many variables, so many things can happen. The closer my opponent gets to my upper body, okay, the more limitations that I have, the less opportunities that I have. Okay, so once he gets in position, he's flattened me out and he starts switching those hips. Okay, this is going to be pretty dangerous for me. Okay, so what I want to do is when he gets in this position, I want to try and focus on his leg and his hips. Okay, because I can't frame in front of him anymore, especially if he's doing everything right. He's got the underhook, he's got the cross face, he's turning me away, he's got the head down, he switched his hips and his knee is coming up here. Okay, so now I'm in danger. Okay, so we're just going to rewind back a couple of steps. So he's in a position where his knee is tight, he's got the cross face. From here now, what I want to do is before he drops his hip, I want to bring my hand up here between him and me. Okay, because as he starts switching the hip, what I want to do is I want to reach through and I want to get control of his top leg. Okay, the other hand now, okay, a lot of this depends on what he's doing with this underhook. Okay, so you know we were talking earlier about the underhook and the significance of it. Okay, it's not just about having an unhook. Okay, it's about him controlling my elbow. He wants to bring the elbow away from my body here. Okay, the further away the elbow comes from my body, the harder it is going to be for me to be able to frame in front of him or use this as a way of being able to get closer to his body again. So we want to clamp our elbow in. We don't want our elbow to come away from our body. Okay, so I want to keep my elbow tight. So I'm invariably pushing his elbow in towards my rib cage as well. I'm using my legs, look here, so I can get closer to his leg. Okay, so this hand is kind of cupping the back of his leg, and this hand is cupping his knee. I'm not connecting my hands together here. I keep them separate, okay? Because by keeping them separate, it gives me a better purchase of his leg. If I start reaching through, look here, I can barely grab left, and now it's much easier for him to pull my arm away as well. So remember, keep the elbow close, look here, and connect to his knee. Now what I want to do is I want to try and get my his leg, look here, closer to me. So what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to extend, okay, and I'm going to swing. And as I swing, look here, I'm aiming to try and get my shoulder all the way through to the other side of his hip. Okay, I'm keeping control of my arms, and I'm keeping my elbows tight. And as this happens, look what happens, his upper body kind of moves further away from my body because he can't, naturally, like he can't keep his shoulders close to me as I move underneath him. Okay, unless he doesn't have any ribs. Okay, so the torso is what's keeping his upper body away from me. Okay, and I want to get my shoulder all the way through into this position here. Okay, and I'm keeping hold of his leg. Okay, so let's go back a sec. So this is when he's got me flattened out. Look here, his knee is tight. Look here, my hand's going to come through. So I'm just going to have my hand, look here, on my hip. So as he starts switching his hip, now look here, I reach through and I control. Remember, I want to keep my elbow close to my body. Even if he starts opening up from here, okay, the trick from here is to try and get my hand back on the knee again. And this is why I want to do this. Look here, extend, look here, and I swing. And as I swing, look here, the hand comes back to that knee again. And I want to aim to try and get my whole body through. I want to get my shoulder all the way through, and I'm turning in to my bottom shoulder here. Okay? So rule of thumb from half guard is generally, apart from the lockdown, I never want to be flat. And even with the lockdown, the whole point of going flat is so I can start eventually moving to one side or the other. So the same thing applies here. So in a conventional half guard, I'm moving into him. If he starts flattening me out, okay, and he starts coming here, look here, hand comes through, look here, I swing. And the aim from here is to move in the opposite direction now. Okay, now from here, we're just going to go nice and simple. Look here, you can either hook if the legs are long enough. Okay, or if they're not, I'm just going to swing, look here. I'm swinging my hand out. I'm going to get to this position. Okay, if he stays where he is, then I can go for the back and get on top. A lot of the time when I go from here, he's going to switch to try and turn into me again. That's it. My aim from here is to try and get to my octopus guard. Okay, so the octopus guard would be when I'm controlling the inside leg, okay, or the outside. His body's turning away from me, and then I'm in a position where I want to stop him from turning back in towards me again. His objective from here is to try and bring that left arm around the head. No, sorry. Right arm, sorry, yeah. And then he can use this to control me. Okay, my aim from here is to try and keep his arm on that side. Okay, I can do this any number of ways. Okay, I like to grab that far lapel look here, and keep that elbow on the inside look here. So now if he tries to turn back in towards me, look here, it's going to make it harder for him. In fact, it's going to make it easier for me to be able to move towards his back there as well. Okay? So we'll have a little play around from here, guys. The partner's flattened us out. Got the head and arm control. I'm going to bring my hand on the inside. Okay, he's going to try and lift up that knee. I'm going to reach through. Okay, if I can get to that leg, great. If he's managed to pull the arm away, look, I extend and I swing. I'm aiming to get my shoulder all the way through to the other side. Okay, again from here, look, you can push him away, you can lean back to create space. If I can get on top, great. A lot of the time from here, he's going to try and come on top. And then from here, my aim from here is to start building up my base, keeping my hand nice and high. I can go far lat, elbow in, or if we've got the lapel, I'm going to use that lapel look here to keep him away. And then from here now, my aim is to try and get my bottom knee through. If he turns into me, okay, it's going to make it super easy. If he sits back, which is a lot of the time what he's going to do, then it's going to be harder for me to naturally do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kick him in that knee, kick him in the chest, put my foot to the floor, and then from here it's going to be much easier for me to slide that bottom knee through and get to that back take position. Okay, guys? Give it a go. 1, 2. Can you see it? Okay. Can I see it? Okay.